I know this sucks, but I'm going to say it again. People can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. Okay? If you had tried to have a conversation with me 60 days in to say like, hey, I don't feel emotionally safe in this relationship. I feel invalidated. I don't trust when you're gone. Like any number of things that were major issues. I probably would have looked at you with a blank stare. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is language that I don't even understand. I hadn't met myself there yet. I didn't even know what that stuff meant yet. This requires patience, and I hate telling people that, but it does. That was the fact of our
agree.
Lives.
And I tell people, yeah, like anytime I work with them, this is the life. Like, this is the reality of that.
Welcome back to another episode of Till the Wheels Fall Off. I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
Well, if you hear our dog making a lot of racket underneath us, apologize for that. She
wants to play.
She is shaking some little toy.
Kill it,
Wayne
Beans, kill it.
So sorry, not sorry about that. First off, this is a home studio after all.
Yes.
Hey, we are just a couple of weeks away from our first ever workshop. Coming up on June 8th here in McKinney, Texas. You can find out more details on that on our website, www.tufo.com.
TWFO.
TWFO.com, for those of you that are new. It's going to be an awesome full day of healing. We've got...
Connecting's
a big part of it, too.
Yes,
like,
yes.
I think
Being
understated
in person.
To some degree. The people that are going to be there are going to make connections that... you'll probably remember for the rest of your life in this pivotal point in your life when you're really working toward healing. And it's going to be well thought out, well planned.
No boring presentations.
It is well thought out, well planned. Yeah, no boring presentations where you're going to fall asleep at a lecture.
No.
That is not our goal.
We're going to chat.
Yeah, we've even got
educate.
Got this fun exercise. Like everyone loves to, let's spill the tea. Let's figure out what's going on. Everyone loves a little bit of drama. We're going to go through text messages. Text messages.
Well, not real text
Not
messages.
your text messages, but similar text messages that you might have received to say, hey, is this right? Is this like something that...
We're going to help you identify manipulation, basically, and how to prevent it going forward, and like how to handle it going forward, how to deal with it, how to manage it. Because sometimes y'all are really good. I'm talking to you, my dear sweet husband, who is a recovered addict, are very, very good at spinning words and manipulating, and the texts are really hard to maneuver sometimes.
Yeah, we can be really, really good salesmen.
Yes.
I was telling someone in the community this last week that we can be really good salesmen, and it's really quick or it can be really easy to forget all the things that we've done. We can make it seem as though like you're just looking at this wrong. Everything's perfectly fine. I don't know what you're talking about. But it helps to be armed with facts and the reality of the situation. What change looks like, what abuse is, what it isn't, what are boundaries, how does that work? A lot of the common questions people have are going to be covered here. And we've got couples coming too. Again, if you're a couple and you'd like to come, I would like for you to be in recovery. Like what that means, that's sort of up in the air, but identify as someone who's in recovery. Now, if your path is your path, it doesn't need to look like my path, but if you are wanting to be sober, if you are wanting to rebuild a relationship, then you are welcome.
Yes.
Right. I'd rather not have a discussion about how to stop using. That's not what we do.
Right.
We're not addiction treatment necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, I can speak to my journey there and the stuff I've seen, but that's not what the workshop's about. The workshop's about rebuilding a relationship if you're in recovery, but more than that, it's about the journey of a spouse and a partner.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not going to touch too much on the rebuilding of a relationship.
No, it'll be relevant at times, but...
Right. Because it's for all different levels of whatever you're in. If you're in a relationship with somebody who's actively using, if you're in a relationship with somebody who's sober, and even if you're out of the relationship, you're going to benefit from this workshop.
Yeah, it's going to be greatness.
Yep.
The following day, June 9th, Sunday, we've got a meetup planned. Free meetup. Come and hang out with us. It's going to be at Finch Park in McKinney, Texas. More details to follow on our website. We've got to get a flyer up.
Yeah.
We don't have a web team. You're looking at the web team. It's us right here.
Hello. Very busy people right now.
We'll get a flyer up. We'll do coffee, donuts, or something like donuts, pastries of some kind.
I don't think you're gonna eat
something
donuts.
good. We're going to hang out. Kids are more than welcome. It's going to be in a park after all. We'll have some older kids there to supervise, keep an eye on things. And I think that as a village, we can keep an eye on everything.
Yeah. And it'll be early enough so you won't be dying of a heat stroke.
Yeah. And you can catch your flights back if you're flying in for the workshop.
Yes. All right. Next
thing is up the course.
Yay!
Independently Strong. First of its kind. This is a journey of a partner and spouse. This is a work at your own pace online program that is designed to validate, educate, empower, and walk you through a journey of recovery.
Yes.
It's robust. It's got 10 modules in it. It's led by Paige and myself and Dr. Christopher Taylor, our clinical architect. It's science-backed, research-backed. This thing is legit. It is legit.
Yes, and I started setting up community calls weekly for those that are enrolled in the course. So hopefully you got my email if you're in the course. But if you're not and you want to enroll, go for it. You'll also get weekly access to me and other people taking it. And I think that's going to be huge for those healing and going through it.
Absolutely.
It's just going to add another level to the process.
Community is a big part of healing.
Yes, it is. It is. And I know that sometimes you might listen to the name of the course called Independently Strong, and it might, scare you a little bit, thinking, oh man, what is this telling me to do? It's helping you just become the best version of yourself possible. That is like the best summary I can give for this. It's not about leaving all of that stuff. It's not about being independent. It's about being independent within whatever it is that you're going through.
Yeah. Our goal, at the end of the day, our goal is to empower you.
Yeah.
An empowered person, I would consider an independent person in some ways, to know what you stand for, to know what your values are, to know what you're fighting for in any given day, to know what you want out of life, to be able to make decisions for yourself that you don't have to question, 100 times before you finally do. You will know the right things for you. And that's what our goal is. Our goal is to not make people leave relationships or just make them stay. Our goal is to empower you to make those decisions for yourself. That's our goal.
Yeah.
That's what we're after. And that's what the course does. Many people have worked it and said that this is unlike anything they've ever come across. People who've even studied in the field for years and years. We've got therapists working it, treatment centers that are interested. Like, this is not just some little course created by a couple people who don't know what they're talking about. I promise you.
We're going to have a totally different separate episode where we're going to talk about what recovery looks like for the spouse, because somebody asked that question recently. I made a short TikTok on it, but I really want to dig into it in depth. I want to go into it and talk more about the course on a separate episode.
Heck yeah. Looking forward to that one.
Yes. I started writing it up the other day.
Awesome. We talked about the importance of community.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead.
Wheelies 75, you get a discount.
Oh, Wheelies 75. That's right.
Yes.
75% off coupon for listeners. Wheelies 75.
Yep. All right.
Talked about the importance of community. Independently Strong has its own inner community. You get access to some exclusive calls, some email feedback, things like that as you work through it. But we have a free Facebook community called TWFO Community. It's TWFO Community. You can find that by going to our website, or by checking out the Linktree. That's what they're called, right?
I think
the link inside of our social media profiles. So if you go to our social media profiles, the front page,
we have tons of links in there.
There's a bunch of links. One of those is for the community.
Yeah.
Although I think the TikTok one's been acting up. I'm not sure they like Facebook very much.
I know we said this in the last episode. I haven't looked since then. It could have been a glitch, but
hopefully it was a glitch and it's working just fine.
I don't know. It works on all the other platforms, so.
Last but not least, I am holding a recovery rock. This is a TWFO token of recovery. When I was going through, so I went through a 12-step and I was given a chip for varying lengths of sobriety, 30, 60, 90 days, and then yearly anniversaries. You were given nothing. You didn't get a chip of any kind. You didn't get really much recognition at all. We wanted to change that. So with the help of a listener, we created this rock. On the back of it, it says, "Thank you for being my rock." On the front, it's got our logo, which is really cool. It's no, it's not embossed. Embossed is when it's 3D. It's engraved. That's what it is. Engraved and painted. Should last quite a while. As long as you don't throw it around, skip it on water like Paige said she was going to do recently. It should work just great. But you can check those out on our website as well, twfo.com on the shop.
Yep.
I think that's it for announcements.
That's it.
Let's get into it. What are we talking today?
We are doing another Q&A. So this is Wheelie requested. And I asked for some people to just throw in some questions that they would like answered on the podcast. And that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah, I think each of these could probably be its own episode.
Yes.
But the fun part about Q&As is that it's sort of like rapid fire on topics.
Yeah.
I enjoy these. These are fun.
Yes. So we'll keep it in a timely manner.
Try anyway.
I don't know, Matt. Are you very talkative today?
I don't know. I'm not feeling great.
I know. His poor back. His back is like shot.
We went to a Renaissance festival, which was really fun. That's a trip. If you've never been to one of those things, it's a whole subculture.
I grew up going to it and it was fun. I liked it. It was interesting, but our kids were not fans. It was a little hot though.
Man, so I've got a bad back. I've got some herniated discs and stuff, and my feet started going numb. Like they told me this would happen eventually, that it would degenerate to the point where
they said when your calves start going numb, then we need to go in and have surgery.
Well, it's time.
Yeah,
we're there.
Yeah.
We're there. It's just gotten bad, so I'm not exactly in the greatest of spirits, but I'm here, man. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, that could even be another episode because I'm not looking forward to that.
That's an interesting one, actually.
I know.
Pain management and things like that. And
yes, and it's not been a fear of mine, but it's obviously something that's been in the back of my mind because it's surgery. You haven't had surgery since being sober, and pain meds was your drug of choice.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that will be interesting to go through.
Yeah, I have full intentions on not treating it with narcotics if I can avoid it.
Yes.
I'm not a martyr. If I'm in the hospital, I'm in like excruciating pain. Then under a doctor's care with some accountability, like, okay, we'll think about that. But if I can get through it in any way without it, I will.
Right. And then me being the one to administer the meds might be something that I'm going to have to.
Oh, I'm not coming home with meds.
Okay.
I don't think I could do it. I would just find
a
way. I mean, okay, I say that over a decade removed. Pain's part of life. This is just my perspective on this. Is pain is part of healing, and you're going to go through pain when you heal. And there's such a thing as pain treatment without getting buzzed.
I know. I think that, I have a lot of trust in it. I really do. I'm not concerned about it, but I think it's something that'll be interesting for us to address in the future, like whenever it gets closer.
And I'll talk to the doctor about it too. That'd be the first thing we talk about.
We're both going to have different feelings on this, similar feelings, but still it's something that I think that even our listeners would like to be a part of with us going through, because we do process a lot of things, and this is something that's big within, our life.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it as we go, but the appointment's got to be coming up here pretty soon to discuss what this looks like, because this is getting old.
Tell me about it.
I'm over it, man. I'm tired of everything going numb and hurting all the time.
I know. Okay, so let's get started with question number 1. What should or could you expect when outside events impact recovery journeys? So I think this question goes for both. It can be for somebody who is an alcoholic and you have to go somewhere that there might be alcohol involved, and then the partner who might be triggered by something that happens in the outside. Or maybe you go somewhere with your partner where there's alcohol and it's like, ooh, this might be triggering for me because you're being around alcohol.
Okay. Talk about your experience with it in the beginning. What? Look at me like that?
I started it and I thought that you were going to answer it.
I get yelled at for talking on this show, so I'm just going to let you talk.
You get you don't get yelled at by me. You get yelled at by TikTokers who don't listen to the entire episode and they just look at a video and say, he needs to let her talk. Oh, I just want to go off on them sometimes. Okay.
You asked me a question, that was hilarious. It's like, you asked me a question
and
I was answering it.
And I interrupted you, which was really funny. That's a totally different episode that we're going to go down. I have so many topics. All right. Now we are like getting off topic. I apologize.
Okay. Outside events impact recovery. So I took this question completely different than you did.
Okay.
The way I took it, outside events impacting a recovery journey could be like a real life event, like something like a death in the family, something like loss of work or loss of...
Ooh, yes, let's do that.
Okay.
I think
we should address yours too.
Okay, but I think that's really good because life happens.
Life will continue to happen. That is a guarantee.
Yes, and what we have found is that, and this might be scary for some listeners to hear, but what I've found is that a lot of things the bird's going to shit a lot in recovery, like in life. You're going to have deaths. You're going to have stressful jobs. You're going to have loss of jobs. There's going to be
IRS letters,
like a lot of stuff. I felt
something's
like
wrong with the house.
Yeah, you feel like it's almost piling up more than what it was before. But the thing is that now you have the tools to handle those things better than you would have an active addiction.
Typically, yeah.
Yes, typically.
Typically, yeah.
But I think, how do we look at outside events during life?
Learning opportunities usually.
Challenges, yes.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a learning opportunity.
It is. It's more of like, hey, let's see what I've learned and how I can apply it within this situation. I remember during my healing journey, because I had, a lot of panic attacks and stuff to where I couldn't even go to a grocery store. So within like 3 months of my recovery, when I stopped having the panic attacks, I pushed myself to go to the grocery store, and I am like prepared myself, and I was like, all right, I've got this. I'm going to do this. I've got these tools that I've just learned, and I wanted it. I wanted to put myself in there. It's almost like exposure therapy.
Yeah, I was going to say that exact thing.
I had to put myself in there in that situation, and I was like embracing it because I was like, I got these tools. I'm going to figure this out. It was great. It sucked, but it was great.
One of the first challenges that I came across it was work related. Mm-hmm. Work's always been a bigger deal than it should to me, I guess. I get worked up about stress and expectations and performing and proving my worth. And I've got all kinds of complexes built around that I've worked through for, I don't know, probably most of my life, but here in the last 10 years especially. And there was this guy, I'm not even going to say his name, but he was the biggest pain in the ass that I've ever worked with. This guy was like impossible, just impossible to work with. We all know these people. They're out there. Mm-hmm. You probably have one in your life if you're listening. Like you can identify this person's like, oh yeah, that's Brad. Yeah. Brad, my boss, is the biggest pain in the ass, just makes my life miserable, has no empathy. He's like a robot. That's how this guy was. And he was really difficult to deal with. And this was the first time that like the rubber met the road for me in recovery. This thing happened, and I thought I was going to lose this really big client. And I was basically dragged into a meeting and just like screamed at and yelled at by a table full of VPs and stuff. And it was scary. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't do a great job of handling it, I don't think, in hindsight, because I just didn't know how to react. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to process it. I took it all, and I came home and I was just in so much fear. I was like, oh my God, like this is all over. We're going to have to sell our house. And I started catastrophizing all this stuff. For me, it's always helped to put things in frame, right? So condense them down to what's the fear around it. And the fear was usually I'm going to lose it's a financial insecurity issue for me. I'm going to lose income, and we're going to have to sell the house and move away. And you would always be quick to remind me, like, and
okay,
like we will figure it out. Like we're going to figure it out. And that was always really reassuring. And it's not that it's to say that like, you're not going to have problems if you have financial issues. Don't get me wrong. Like they say that money can't buy happiness, but money can solve a lot of problems for a lot of people. I don't want to demean that by any means, but it wasn't going to affect our love, our recovery. It wasn't going to affect our safety, it could be a mild inconvenience. It could even be a major inconvenience in some ways, but it wasn't going to kill us. No. It's like, I still have my health and I have a lot of other things. And like, for like what you said prior, it was almost a challenge. It's like, this isn't over yet. This fight's not over. Like I can control some things. Some things are out of my control. I can just show up, put my best foot forward and walk through this. And it was really uncomfortable. I stuck close to my mentors through this deal. I had to center myself a lot. There was a lot of breathing exercises that took place through this. And it was tough. It was tough. This is like life stuff. And that's a work thing, but we've also been through deaths. We've been through all kinds of drama. We've been through, you name it, like house falling apart, like all kinds of stuff. This stuff happens in life. Mm-hmm. These things will happen for the rest of your life. Yeah. It's guaranteed. These things will happen. In recovery, I learned how to live. Like I learned how to deal with these things because I was just walking through them for the first time ever. Like there's not a perfect playbook is what I've come to understand about a lot of this stuff, is that I felt like I had to be prepared when this stuff happened and know exactly what to do. Here's the truth about me, and I think a lot of people, is that even if I told you exactly what to do, most people wouldn't do it anyway.
Facts.
Like we have to learn for ourselves in so many ways, and you have to feel like what that's actually like in the moment. and walk forward through it. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have a good group of people around you to kind of guide the way.
Yeah.
But for me, a lot of it was just exposing myself to it and kind of walking through it. And I know that that's not really an answer, right? It's not really an answer. But I think if I could say anything, is like I had to feel the feels and I had to walk through it and understand that nothing was going to kill me. And even things that could have, health issues and health scares and stuff like that, I got through them. Like I found peace in that. Everything's exactly the way it's supposed to be at this moment, right here or right now. Me worrying about it isn't going to necessarily fix it. And so then I become more solutions focused. Like, okay, what can I do right now to change this? I can worry about those things, but those things always paled in comparison to the fear that I felt and the anxiety that I felt around it. And that was always so much bigger than the problem itself. It's like Mark Twain said, like I've lived through 1,000 tragedies in my life and a couple of them actually happened. Like I love that quote. I actually have that on my computer screen at the office because that's me in a nutshell. Like I have lived through so many tragedies when I get an email or a text that alludes to something bad that's going to happen. And 99% of the time it doesn't happen.
Right.
On that 1% offshoot, I've been able to handle every bit of it. Every bit of it. Like I've never had my sobriety sacrificed from any of these things. And it's not to say that some people haven't. I know people that have gone through a really tough time and that's just where they went.
Yeah.
That's how they relapse. A lot of people do. I mean, it's difficult. Don't get me wrong, but
well, we relapse sometimes as well in our own recovery. You know, we'll do something that we would have done previously, or we would go back to older habits, or our triggers will take over, you know, and that's normal. That's common. That's going to happen. You give yourself grace and patience. And you know what I've learned with a lot of people that are enrolled in our course, and this is one of the great things about the course, is that you get lifetime access to it, right? So anytime that something pops up in their life, even though they've already done the course, they'll go back to a certain module that they know would help them with whatever's going on within their life right now, some type of outside event that's happening or something that has changed or something that they just, you know, need help with. They'll go back into the course and they'll find the tools that we provide and they'll utilize them for that situation. I mean, there's actually something in there that I use for myself whenever stressful things happen, and it's a process for my mind to go through it. And I don't know, it's great. It's a great way to check yourself, basically, when outside events impact your recovery.
Yeah, outside events will impact your recovery.
It's going to.
It will.
You have to have the expectations that it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And in some ways, I welcome it because each and every time I've just learned more and more about myself. I've learned more and more about the world and more about people in it and how to handle these things.
How to handle them. And each time it's better and better. But sometimes you will feel like you're going 2 steps back and 1 step forward. You know?
Absolutely will.
You will feel that way.
You'll feel like you were on cloud 9 and everything was going great, and now it's all ruined. And that is just, like, once again, like my brain's guilty of this, catastrophizing. Like, it's all ruined, it's all over.
We'll do that.
Not true. Not true.
But the more it happens, the more you expose yourself, the more you train your brain, the more you'll get to that balanced. It's like a pendulum a lot, and then eventually you'll just get there to the middle ground and everything will balance out for you. Yeah.
In the beginning, whether you're like on a journey of sobriety or you're just on a journey of learning more and more about yourself and this journey of empowerment with us, in the beginning, it's super high highs and super low lows. That's very typical. So in the beginning, I would say you could expect high highs and low lows because you're just not familiar with what stability feels like. It's just completely new to you.
Yeah.
You don't have the experience of walking through these things and coming out the other side.
So true.
Being consistent with them. So the more consistent you are with the things we talk about, like self-care, reading, listening to the shows like this or other shows that you glean something from that's helping you grow. If you're in therapy, if you're in some sort of a recovery program, like these things are going to arm you with tools that are going to get you through this stuff.
And you practice using the tools. That's why we call it practice, because you're not going to know how to utilize them immediately. You have to practice each time life slaps you in the face.
Yeah.
All right.
It gets better every time.
Yep. All right. Let's go to question number 2. Relapse. Trust was rebuilt for a year, only to be back to square one. Does the trust just get harder and harder to rebuild each until it can no longer be rebuilt?
That's a great question. We went through relapses, but you weren't even really aware of them.
Nah.
I was going through relapses. So as far as what this looked like for us, full disclosure, I can't necessarily speak to what this did to our relationship.
Right.
I got sober 11 years ago and I've maintained sobriety, but I've been through this with a lot of people. I've watched this unfold in people's homes, in their relationships, and it does get harder and harder to rebuild. It does.
It starts from scratch each time. Because I read somewhere and I heard somewhere that it can take 1 to 2 years of changed, consistent behavior to actually rebuild trust from hurting someone. So if there's a relapse that's happening within that time frame, it almost goes back to square one. And that's just the hard truth of it.
I think a lot of people would like to frame a relapse as just a substance, but it's more than that. And I know that having been through these and watched other people go through this, relapses typically don't happen with someone who's working on themselves. It generally happens whenever we start to kind of wane on that consistency. Something will happen. We feel unprotected in those moments and we make a poor decision. It feels like the end of the world in the middle of it, like in the beginning of it. It feels like the end of the world. Like, oh my God, all this progress has just been reset. I learned nothing. I'm the exact same person as I was before. But I think that's a failure to look at life in terms of like, I mean, what's actually happening. People do learn something through relapses. Don't get me wrong. They do. They do. Just like you will learn something if, like, let's say that, like, for you, you've not had a panic attack in how long?
7-ish years.
If you had a panic attack tomorrow, would you feel like you failed?
No.
No, but you would.
I would learn from it. It would check me. It would be like a check. It would be like, oh, you need to go back to doing what you were doing to make it stop.
Or like,
something
uncover something
right.
else that maybe you haven't looked at yet.
Could be. It could be something that I hadn't healed from.
Relapses are very much the same in that regard. Now, however, I mentioned that there's a lot of stuff that goes on with the relapse that isn't just the use of the substance. If it were just the use of the substance, I think a lot of people could move on quicker from them.
Absolutely.
It's the behaviors that surround someone who's using drugs and alcohol to cope that typically cause the problems. So it's not just the relapse. It's not like everything was perfectly fine and like tomorrow I drink and you're like, what was that?
It's usually something that it's going to be built up.
Yeah, so you start to notice a lot of the old behaviors that come back first. You start to notice the person becomes much more distant. They're quieter. They're sneaky. They're not exactly honest all the time. They're not doing what they said they would do. They're falling apart in many more ways. And that's what's difficult. Because each time that happens, you see your relationship getting back to the point where it's like, I was done the last time we were here. And here we are again. And you think they've got it licked. And then here we are again. Everyone's tolerance for this is different. And I'm never going to sit here and say, this is what your tolerance should or shouldn't be. That's a very personal decision for you to make, the listener. That is a very personal decision for you to make. I know that you've said in the past, and you can say this openly, about what you would feel about my relapse if I had a relapse.
That'd be done.
Yeah. And you've just been straight about that.
Yeah, because I know what that means. I know what that means for our marriage. I know what that means for your behaviors. I think that I would know beforehand. To be honest, I don't know if it's just I think it's the relapse in behavior that would probably affect me more than anything.
Right. So it's not just the substance.
No, but and I think that I would know beforehand, like a time frame. Like I would know way before you would even pick up the substance that something was different. Because I could know by your behavior and how you're acting. And
not speaking on any one person's relationship. So this is just in general. There is such a thing as a relationship being total. So this person's asking, like, is it possible that it can just get so hard to rebuild that it's impossible to rebuild? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is possible.
That is possible. Absolutely it is. Things can get totaled. If you have a car that you've crashed and it's worth, $5,000 and it's going to take $20,000 to fix it, they would say that that's not worth fixing. It's just get another car. It's going to take more to fix this thing than you would get useful life out of. Relationships can operate in the same way. Why wouldn't they, right? If you've been through several bouts of infidelity, physical or emotional abuse, relapses that go along with that, you've only got so many of these things in you. I think that's only right or fair. And many people say that, like marriage is forever, period. Many people have that belief, and ours has always been, no, not necessarily. Like, I don't we don't pull from any particular doctrine to make that a belief of ours. We just always believe that, like, if we're in love, we're going to make this thing work.
Yeah.
If we're supporting each other, we're best friends, we're going to make this thing work. But you can absolutely do things to break that. Doesn't mean you don't give me grace. It doesn't mean that you don't give me chances.
Right.
But yeah, you can absolutely get to the point where a relationship is just beyond repair. That is possible.
Yeah.
What that looks like is going to be individual, I think,
Yep.
for every person.
Absolutely.
You know, some have more patience than others.
All right. The next one is rebuilding trust.
So along that same vein.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, what does it mean to rebuild trust? What does it take? I mean, we've discussed this before. I think this is just, it's a tough question.
Let me ask, can I ask you some questions?
Sure.
Okay. So I was a user for a very long time. When I came clean about everything, it had to have rocked your world about what you felt was real and not, and your ability to trust me and your ability to trust yourself, which is a big part of trusting other people.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not said enough, but your ability to trust other people in large part comes from your ability to trust yourself.
Yes.
Because if you feel like you see the world correctly, like I'm seeing this picture correctly, I understand what I'm seeing and this is accurate, then you would then be able to make determinations and decisions based off of the information that you've gathered from any situation, any person, anything, right? But when you've lost that, it's really tough to rebuild trust.
Yeah.
Really tough. So whenever I was first getting sober, did you find it hard to trust me again?
I did. I mean, I still had a little level of trust, and I think that was because of how you came clean. And like when you were just very open, even from the get-go in treatment, like I trusted you from the surface level. Like I was going to give you that opportunity to rebuild the trust. So I wasn't 100% there. It took years for me to completely trust you again. And even myself, it took me a long time.
And trust isn't just with a person and just a relationship too. Like some of these things are, I guess, different dynamics of the relationship. Like, do I trust you with the finances? Do I trust you with being on time places? Do I trust you with sending you to go pick up the kids?
Right.
Do I trust you with watching the kids while I go on a girls' weekend? Is that just built in layers? Is it
It's
like
layers.
one day you just trust and
No, it's all in layers, and it all depends on the situation and how long you have, given me space to be open with you and have conversations. Like my triggers with the finances and stuff, you were always like, I understand how you feel this way. I know why you're upset about this. I know why you're bringing it to my attention. It's because of what I've done. And I think that helped me trust you further on down the line, but it wasn't immediate. But it was like even that little stuff, it took a while.
What would you say to someone that's asking to be trusted?
What do you mean? Like as if you were to ask to trust you?
Yeah, like let's say we take you back to 2013. I'm like, you just need to trust me. How would you feel about that statement?
No.
Just to know.
You got to show me. You've got to prove to me. You have to show me that I can trust you again. And that was it really hard for you to own up all of your mistakes and rebuild that trust with me?
No.
It wasn't.
No.
So it was easy for you to say, I understand why you don't trust me. Basically let me prove this to you.
Yes.
Yeah, because
personally, that was easy
because
for
you
me.
wanted to make those living amends. You wanted to do that. You wanted to prove yourself. If you were to just come in and say, I need you to trust me, and there's no actions backed up, I'm not going to trust you. I'm an actions type of person. Words don't mean shit. You have to back it up. But I was willing to give you that opportunity because I had spent so much time with you. I knew you pretty well. And I was like, all right, this is the last opportunity. I'm going to allow him to rebuild that trust.
And you were very giving and allowing me to do that, but you were also willing to eat crow at times whenever you didn't trust me and then I actually came through. Mm-hmm. Like you were willing to admit that you had been like, I was a little hard on you. Yeah. Like thank you. Like you did a great job here. Like I appreciate that. You were always very gracious in letting me know. And like, that was helpful too. That was helpful.
Yeah.
So it's not just one way, like earn my trust or else.
No.
I think in a relationship, you should be picking each other up when you see things that you appreciate. Let people know that you appreciate them.
Absolutely. I think we did a decent job at that.
Yeah, but I hear from a lot of spouses that want to trust again, like they badly want to trust again. But I think if you're asking the question, you're probably not quite there. And
exactly.
That's probably not an absolute. Don't get me wrong. I can't say that everyone that asks that question is not there yet. But I think a lot of people are. I think a lot of people, if they're like, should I be trusting? I think you probably know the answer to that. But who's to say you can't give someone a little bit of rope to hang themselves with, for lack of a better term? It's probably the worst term ever. But
yeah,
to give someone a little bit of rope, like, hey, I'm gonna give you an allowance and spend it wisely. Give someone some responsibilities, little pieces here and there to show that they're trustworthy people. Like in general, we trust trustworthy people. Yeah. If someone's not trustworthy, then I would like, why do you want to trust this person? Mm-hmm. You've got evidence to show that it's not been good in the past, that they've broken it, that they're not ready to walk that path or grow up or however you want to put it. But rebuilding trust is done little by slow. It's done over a long period of time. But I don't think we ever looked at it like on a timeline. Like, no, when are you going to trust me to do X or Y or Z? It was just like, man, today, this is what's in front of us. I'm going to be the best man I can be today. Right. I'm just going to be the best man I can be today.
Exactly.
And whatever that looked like, it might be, I don't know, stepping up and handling something that ordinarily I wouldn't have done in the past. It could be having a conversation and I handle it different than I typically do. It could be taking accountability for something where normally I'd argue. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like I was trying to flex or anything. I was looking forward to being a better man. I wanted to be a better man more than you wanted me to be a better man.
Yeah, it was for you.
More than anything. To be that person.
It was for our kids too. It wasn't just for me or anything like that. It was mainly for you and to be a good father and good husband.
Trust is built little by slow, man. It's like a little tiny investment you put into an account every day. And over time, it accumulates and it compounds and it amounts to something huge.
Yeah. And if you're not fully trusting somebody that is your body and still telling you, to keep your guard up a little bit, and that's okay. You're not going to trust people immediately. It just, if that were the case, we could just say, oh, just trust, and then we would say, oh, okay, it's that simple.
Oh, it's that simple.
No,
it's not.
That's your brain talking, but in reality, it's your body. Your body is telling you, no, I'm not ready to fully trust yet. And that's okay. You're not supposed to trust immediately.
Yeah. And whenever you're trying to trust someone, it's really difficult because they've proven to you once before. They've caught you off guard before and shown you why they're not trustworthy. And then suddenly they're like, hey, trust me, it's different this time. Mm-hmm. And maybe you give them a second chance. And what do? They screw it up.
Right.
So over and over again, like eventually, like kind of back to the question prior to this is that I think it does get to a point eventually where you have to stop playing with fire and be like, listen, I'm tired of this game. You've shown to me that you're not trustworthy. Mm-hmm. I love you. I wish you all the best, but I can't go through this again. I just can't do that again.
It's like my 3 strikes you're out rule.
Yeah, you got 3. Mm-hmm. It's like 9 lives. I'm on my 9th right now is what you're saying?
Yes.
All right, next question.
Okay, the next one is, my husband is in denial. Like most, he doesn't like to face defeat or accept needing help. I know if I'm the only person who addresses his drinking, he'll just add it to my list of complaints. I want to have an intervention, like sit down with him. Do you have suggestions for how to approach this or what all should be involved? I feel like I've played this scenario over 100 times in my mind.
That's tough.
So you're asking about interventions and how to sit down. Honestly, we don't know much about interventions. We haven't had experiences with interventions. I mean, you've seen it happen, right?
For sure. I've been part of them.
Yeah. But what's your take on this?
Man. So I was part of an intervention actually before I got sober, which was a little awkward because I was definitely high in the intervention.
Wow.
But extremely awkward. And that was a very, very rough situation. This person was not ready to go into treatment. Physical altercation. I mean, it got bad, really bad. And I think they stayed in treatment for about 24 hours before they checked out against medical advice and was back to doing their whole deal. And I've thought about that in hindsight. Like, was that really helpful for anybody? Mm-hmm. Maybe for some of the family, it was cathartic to get those feelings and those words out. So I could say it's probably a little beneficial for them to say these things, because that's empowering in some ways to say, like, this is how I feel about this. But the flip side of that is that oftentimes to the addict, it just feels like a shame fest, and that's not really helpful for them, to someone that's already feeling lower than low. And I think that you can look at the traditional models of intervention and see that they're not very successful in getting the people into treatment, much less into long-term recovery.
Right.
Now, the CRAFT method is from what I read anyway, much better method of going about this: community reinforcement and family training. Look into that. It is led by a licensed therapist, so it's not something you want to do on your own. I would suggest people look into that. I don't have experience doing it firsthand, but just knowing what's out there kind of in the field, that seems like the route that I would go if I had to do this with a loved one. It is not a one-time event. This is a process of getting someone into treatment. It is a process of developing healthy boundaries, having the addict take accountability, but it's also a process of positive reinforcement, which I think that this other intervention lacks, like the traditional type of interventions.
Right.
And I forget the name of them. They're named after somebody. It's like Williams or something. The name escapes me at the moment, but not important. But anyway, so for someone who is in complete denial, it's typical for, if you're the only one that sees the problem, for you to say something to them is going to feel like an attack because no one else is saying anything.
Yeah.
It's clever how this works, because a lot of the time we surround ourselves with people that do the same things we do. So we don't appear to be alcoholics when we're amongst a bunch of alcoholics. We appear to be just part of the crowd. So for you to say something makes you look like a nag. It makes you seem like you have an issue, you're too sensitive, and all these other things. I don't know this person's exact situation, but I've seen that play out more times than I can count. The bottom line is that you have values that are not shared by somebody else, and your feelings do matter. You can have a conversation about this with them, but if it falls on deaf ears, we're kind of at this point where it's like, okay, so you don't share values. Let's talk about what healthy boundaries look like. How is this affecting you and your inner peace? How is this affecting your ability to be happy and show up in a relationship? Is this really a productive place for you or your children? What's being harmed? What's being affected here, right? And then you have to make some tough decisions. That's all there is to it. Like, there's no easy way around this.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, like the greatest pain a spouse can feel, and I don't know this personally, so back me up here or tell me shut up if I'm wrong here, but it's the dissonance you feel, the difference you feel between what you hoped and what you expected and what is.
Yeah.
And that gap, that
Yeah.
delta, that difference is so freaking painful. About, this is not how I imagined my life to look. This is not the person I married. This is not what I imagined for myself at 50 years old. And you can bring those feelings to someone, and when you get this in return, where you're just a nag, or I'll just add that to the list of things that you have a problem with. What's new? You always have problems with stuff. That's painful. That's hurtful. I mean, it's kind of like it's like someone showing you the trailer to divorce and separation. It's like, man, if we can't agree on something like this, then there's no way this works.
Right. But what if, I think that this could be like the last, like, you've exhausted all of your options. So this might be the last thing that you try, and you think, you know what? I tried my best. I did the best that I could. And that could help ease your pain or ease your mind as well with the decisions that you do make, because you're like, I did try everything I could.
Yeah. Kind of back to what we talked about earlier, like how that one that I was in was probably cathartic for family members.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everyone's like, it's very emotional. It's like they're telling the truth about how they felt while this is all going on, and their fears for this person, and you know, the ways that they've been harmed, and what they would love to see this person do. Like, I want to see you happy again. I want to see you do all this. I think that's relevant for your healing journey. Yes. I do. Yes. And I've had these conversations with people, believe me. I'm not the only addict in my life. I've been around recovery for quite a while now, and I've been part of many conversations where other families or friends have reached out and asked me to talk to somebody. And I've done this many times, and for people that I love dearly and care about and know closely. I've had these conversations. I've yet to find the magical words that get people just completely, you know, to see the light about what's really going on. I've been going to treatment centers for over a decade and talking to people and telling my story and, you know, trying to relate in the best way I can in order to create the same willingness that I had. And I've been unsuccessful.
Yeah.
So
no, that's why boundaries are important. That's why consequences are important. That's the kind of thing that's really going to get them. Telling them how you feel about it doesn't necessarily get them to where you want them to go, but it can help you push yourself to the next level and do what you need to do to protect yourself and let go of the outcome and the expectations of this being the, thing that's going to work.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's the expectation.
Yes.
Like, expectations should be realistic. Let's just say realistic. I'm not going to say high or low, just realistic. That very few people are going to hear something like this and just be like, oh crap, you're right. I got to do something about this. And I'll do whatever it takes to address this problem. And I'm sorry I've treated you this way. Like that's unlikely.
Yeah.
It's unlikely. It's generally going to be some kind of a spat or an argument.
Right.
And that sucks. But what does it do for you? Is it helpful? Did you approach it in a non-judgmental, non-accusatory, like non-shameful way? Just talk about
how
your
you
feelings,
feel.
how you feel.
Yeah.
That's powerful for you. I think it can't be understated enough how powerful that is for family members.
Yeah.
But it's oftentimes more powerful for family members than it is the person with the substance abuse disorder.
Right. Good stuff. All right. Addressing the shame and guilt that comes with everybody in my life wanting me to move on, understandably, but also knowing that I'm not ready. That in-between feeling of indecision where you don't know what would be best for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
this comes up a lot.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you can have a support system in line with you and having therapy and somebody to talk to about what's going on. A lot of people who are not involved in this life don't understand what it's like. We actually did an episode on, send this to your family members if you want to express to them how you're feeling, that I think has been somewhat helpful for family members or friends. But sometimes they're not going to respect your decision because, like you said, you don't know what's best for you yet. They don't understand. You're not ready to take that step. And that's okay. That's what we're here for. That's what our community is here for. That's what a therapist is there for. That's what, people who have been through it are there for. They can help you get through that when those that are supposed to be closest to you aren't there to support you. Yeah.
This is a process. Let me just say that it's a process. So the stages of change model, the trans-theoretical model, is a way of describing not so much by just how people overcome addiction, but how people work their way through really, really tough decisions in life. So you've got a pre-contemplation stage, you've got a contemplation stage, you've got a preparation stage, you've got an action stage, you've got a maintenance stage.
Okay.
So each of these stages is important, and you have to go and walk through each and every one of them. So many people can be stuck in this pre-contemplation, contemplation, or preparation stage for anywhere between 6 months at a piece or up to years.
Yeah.
Before you're ready to do something. This can be very frustrating for family members or friends of yours that see things so clearly and they just want you to listen to them, right? You can't necessarily blame them, but it is difficult. So I'm not saying that your feelings are invalid and you should just listen to them, because that's not the way that change usually works. It just doesn't work that way. Generally, we have to accept these things and see them for ourselves before we'll make real meaningful change.
We have to build ourselves up. A lot of us have to build ourselves up because we don't know how to make decisions, and it's not that simple. When you're not in it, you don't recognize it.
Yeah. The arguments you'll have or the people that you'll push away, it's really difficult. And like we've talked about this a bit, our episode about family members, like, hey, this is what someone's going through whenever they're in it. If they're having trouble verbalizing, we'll do our best to talk about what that's like. But like on one hand, like you need to carry two thoughts at the same time. On one hand, understand that these people love you dearly and they care about you and they want to see what's best for you. They do. On the other hand, they're not in your shoes. And you are not going to do anything until you're ready to do something. So if that's leave a relationship or stay in a relationship. But I think you ought to make efforts in some way to move through these stages of pre-contemplation, contemplation, action with intention. And that means doing what you're doing right now. You're listening to a show. You're more than likely reading through something. you are gearing your mind in some way to move through them. I think that if you stay stagnant here for too long, what you'll find generally is that you fall back into old patterns. It's almost like the relapse behavior.
Relapse, yes.
But addressing the shame and guilt that comes with it, it's tough because that's an internal thing. Like you feel shame and guilt. In my experience here, anytime that I've ever had feelings like this, I've just shared them openly with people. And I think that this kind of goes back to that old mantra that like, those that mind don't matter and those that matter don't mind.
Yes.
So the people in your life that have the biggest problem with you and this kind of stuff, like, listen, they're allowed to have their own boundaries. Like they're allowed to say, I can't stand seeing you like this. It hurts me to see you like this. I can't carry on a relationship.
Yes.
If this is what's going on, it's too painful for me. That's fair. It sucks, but it's fair.
Yeah.
Like they get to say they get to
we
say
have
their
to
piece
respect
too.
that.
You do. But that's kind of that's the gravity of the situation. So when you're thinking about making a choice, if someone's willing to go to those lengths, consider that this is a very serious choice. And I'm not saying you should throw away a marriage like it's nothing, like just throw it away like it's expired milk or something like that. But, be really honest about your situation.
Yes. When I have those feelings of shame and guilt, I talked about this with you recently, is that I use them as fuel for change. It's almost like anger within myself. And I really look at that feeling. I really feel it. And I try to figure out where it's coming from and what I need to do to feel it and push forward and make a change. Like those feelings are there for a reason. It's not for us to stick in this. It's like Matt said, listening to this, empowering yourself, educating yourself to figure out what decisions you need to make that align with your true values. Use those feelings to get there and keep doing what you're doing by listening.
Yeah, we can't expect everyone to understand what this is like, and this is part of the reason that Paige built the Twofold community was because in there you will be surrounded by people that understand exactly what you're going through. The guilt and the shame that comes with everyone in your life wanting you to make a decision, but you knowing that you are not ready to do that. You're just not ready to do that yet. That's what we're here for. Yeah. And you won't get judgment from anyone in there because everyone gets it.
Yeah.
You'll get people on either side of it too. Some people that have made it through the other side and they'll say, I'm glad I stayed. You'll get some others that say like, I had to make the decision to leave and it was the best thing I ever did.
Right.
You'll get to see it. You'll get to kind of see yourself in some of this. But our goal has always been, we maintain this, is to empower you to make decisions like this.
Yep.
Because you're right. You're not going to do it until you're ready.
Yeah.
You're not. But I think at some point you can be just intoxicated with facts and books and podcasts, and you can just be, at some point you do make a decision. Like at some point you have to make a decision about this stuff, or else you will sit in it for the rest of your life,
right? In
this limbo, the state of limbo. But
we're here for you.
Yeah, we got you.
All right. The next one is it possible to rebuild trust when all they have done is removed the substance, not working a program, no therapy, etc. We just had a recent episode that kind of touches on this, but the part where it says, is it possible to rebuild trust? They have a bigger part to rebuild the trust. And I don't think, in our experience, just removing the substance is going to rebuild the trust. That's only about 5% of the issue.
Yeah, not to a degree sufficient enough that I would consider in our relationship sufficient.
Right.
Like that it would not have been sufficient for us. There's just no way. There's just no way.
No, you have to have personal development. You had to change your behavior. You had to change your mindset. You had to change so many different things within yourself in order to rebuild the trust. And that wasn't going to happen just from removing the substances.
Listen,
you would have gone back.
Every person with a substance abuse problem is a little bit different, right? Varying degrees of other issues, underlying issues that have led them here, varying degrees of mental health problems. There's all kinds of stuff. So there's no one size fits all answer here. But in general, substance abuse is a symptom, not necessarily the problem. But for some people, it's a large enough problem where the removal of a substance is sufficient enough to get things rolling pretty well. We saw this in our own relationship in the very beginning. Like when I had removed the substance before I was really involved in 12-step or anything like that, or reading, and like the removal of the substance and me being hopeful that we could be better was enough to get us moving in the right direction.
Yes.
But had I not addressed that stuff, though, this stuff would have eventually come back and would have been so problematic that I don't think we could have overcome it.
Right.
You know, it's like emotions buried alive never die.
Exactly.
I believe in that. I believe in that fully, wholeheartedly, that these things have to be addressed. And the accountability and validation is huge to rebuilding trust. Like, if you can't tell me that I was valid and feeling the way I felt, then telling me I can't trust my feelings and I always have to question them when I'm with you, like, that's the basis of trust. You know, we talked about intimacy. Like, intimacy is a form of trust. It's built on that.
Yeah.
That very thing. Like, if you can't have open, vulnerable, close conversations with someone, then there will be no trust. There will be no intimacy. Generally, removal of the substance is the first step in doing that.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, this is the first thing they try. I'll just speak for men here, because I know I work with mostly men, but it's like the language of emotions is very difficult, very, very difficult. And it's very tough to overcome that stuff. That's where trust is built. It's through that stuff. So if we're not going to talk about any of that, like if you're just going to stop drinking and then say 3 words all week long, how do you really have a trustful relationship?
Right. Speaking
from what I consider with me and you a healthy relationship, I don't think you do. I just don't think you do. I don't think you can.
Yeah.
So is it possible? I don't know. Maybe over time, possibly. Maybe if someone's just moving on a slower pace, possibly. But I think that if you're not going to uncover a lot of this stuff, you're never really going to get to the root of someone and who they really are. Like, if you truly, if intimacy to you is really knowing somebody, you're probably not going to get there just removing a substance.
Right. Okay. Well, we're only halfway through the questions. And we're already an hour.
How long is this episode?
We're already an hour in.
No way.
Yeah. So I think that we can cut it off here.
Let's do one more.
Well, then we won't have.
Oh, there's more questions.
Okay.
Oh, we're not even an hour.
Okay.
She mad?
Well, thank you for whatever.
Let's do one more.
I'm not even going to. We'll talk about this after the episode.
Okay. Deal.
How to ask for what you need from your spouse in early recovery. While they navigate their recovery, they are supported. However, in my experience, they become fixated on their recovery while the spouse is left wounded and alone. How can the spouse address what they need to begin to heal? I love this question. It's a really hard one to answer, though.
Why?
Because I've talked about this with you before. We've brought it up in other episodes where I'm like, a lot of us don't get to have that space of bringing up our issues with you guys because you're still healing, because your brains aren't functioning properly, because we have to have all the patience in the world, because it's all about what you're dealing with. And then we just have to wait for ours to come out whenever you're fully ready. And it frustrates me. That's frustrating. Like, what about us? Again, in recovery, what about us? So as a recovered addict, how would you think a spouse should address? How would I didn't do this, y'all. So I didn't address any of my problems with Matt because I didn't know all of our problems in the beginning. I was too distracted by our children. And I was at that point, I was just like, I was grateful you were sober, you were doing okay. And it didn't hit me until later on. And it still took a long time for us to address a lot of things because we weren't fully ready for it. But in early recovery, if somebody's ready, is there a way for a partner to bring it up and you be okay with it?
I will. No, you did ask me for some things, some needs to be met, but most of them were, let's say on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 are some of the most deepest, like the deepest wounds that you have. Mm-hmm. You weren't asking for those things early on.
No.
You were asking for things at the 1 scale of this, which is like...
change your schedule so you can be involved with the family a little bit more.
Exactly.
Okay.
You were asking for small little things like that.
Right.
It's like, hey, you're at meetings at night and then like you're at the gym and like I never see you. You have 2 kids, like you need to be here. I mean, you didn't say it like that, but those were some of the things that you addressed. It was like, be present in the home. Be present in the relationship. Hey, have you ever heard of dishes? Like some basic things like that.
I didn't do that till later on.
Basic things like this were addressed. Basics. Like, I mean basics. Like,
yeah, we didn't dig into any of the deeper stuff until many years. Many years. Like, really, think about it. That sucks. Because a lot of these people they remember a lot of things. Like they didn't have just the little ones to be distracted by. They want to be heard. They want to feel it. They want to be able to have a partner who's going to hear them.
Yeah. In early recovery, I know this sucks, but I'm going to say it again. People can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you had tried to have a conversation with me 60 days in to say like, hey, I don't feel emotionally safe in this relationship. I feel invalidated. I don't trust when you're gone. Like any number of things that were major issues. I probably would have looked at you with a blank stare. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is language that I don't even understand. I hadn't met myself there yet. I didn't even know what that stuff meant yet. This requires patience. And I hate telling people that, but it does. That was the fact of our
agree.
Lives.
And I tell people, like anytime I work with them, this is the life. Like this is the reality of being with somebody who has been an addict or an alcoholic and they're in recovery and they're working hard. Like it is not a quick fix. It is not an easy life. Takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of, it takes a lot of work. It's a lot. It's not going to be the fairy tale, marriage that we all think that we're going to have. There's always going to be something that's in the back of our mind, relapses. Am I going to be able to trust you for fully forever? There's always going to be that. It's not easy. It's hard.
Yeah. Like we talk about the language of emotions too, like as you're kind of referring to some of those things. I hadn't met myself there. I wouldn't have known what you were really talking about. Like, I think I would have listened. But could I
maybe
really understand and deliver on those things? No. Like for the first year I was sober, I worked my living ass off and I was still not quite at the point where I was ready to have deep emotional conversations. I was getting to know myself to the point where I could even carry like an adult life. Like I was so emotionally immature that I did not understand exactly what you meant by a lot of these things. I just didn't.
And we would have intimate conversations, but they weren't about me.
Right.
They were about you.
But I think if there were something I would have listened to, and I'm not just saying this shit to try to increase our downloads, but I think that a show like this would be really helpful.
I do agree with that.
I mean that.
I agree with that too, because I think like we've even recognized and we've noticed couples that listen to it together to where they're able to, we're like the messenger, like we're the mediator. We're the middle person who is able to express ourselves, how you're feeling. And you pause it and you talk about it. And that can be intimate conversations, and that can help the healing process even quicker because you are able to express yourself and tell them what you need to begin to heal. Yeah, you're right. You're so right. I can't believe I didn't even think about that.
There was nothing like this where we could hear a couple who'd been there before and like understand what they were even talking about. But I think that would have resonated with me surely if there was a guy who was like, oh, I've been there. And I know exactly what you're feeling. I know what you're going through. I know that you don't understand what these words mean even yet. Like like fully valid. But spouses want to address these things like right now. And I understand why. But all I'm saying is that people can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves.
I know. I just feel like it's
like you're asking for something they don't have yet.
But you need to be able to express yourself and be able to tell your person how you feel.
Right. So
if you were going to talk, obviously you can listen to the podcast together, but you can just talk about how you're feeling and not be judgmental and blaming or it's more about how you're feeling and what you've been through and just try to open it up like that and see if they're receptive. That's all you can do because you don't need to just keep your feelings bottled up. I do know that talking in therapy would be great. Talking in the community is great, but you still want to be able to address it with your partner. If they're willing to do relationship building or therapy together, that's great as well. That's another place to have those important conversations.
My advice to anyone in early recovery is advice that I heard that was really helpful, which is you're allowed to feel, and I mean a spouse is allowed to feel however they need to feel about the things that they've been through. It is not up to me to tell you how you should feel. It's not up to me to tell you what you can and can't say about what you've been through. It's simply my job to listen. Just listen. I'm just listening. Even if I understand every word you're saying and I can't relay it to an experience I've had before, I'm going to listen to you. I think that is a powerful part in the healing process where you can speak and you're not spoken back to. You're heard. You're just listened to.
Yeah.
There were times early on where you would express something, and I remember you'd get heated. Things would get passionate. This is a subject where someone is literally talking about how they've felt invalidated or how they felt abused, or this is serious stuff. You're not going to have the conversation like you're explaining calculus to someone. It's generally going to be a little bit passionate, right? Mm-hmm. But I remember you talking and me literally telling myself, just shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Just shut up. Like, just don't say anything back. Just shut up. Like having to tell myself, because my instinct was to defend. Like I want to explain myself or defend.
That's a survival mechanism.
Saying from my end, we can get into that at a different later date.
Clicked.
But it is, yeah,
it is.
It is. But and we'll get into this at some other point. But yeah, listen, this thing just didn't show up in me for fun. Like I wasn't just doing this stuff. This is a learned skill I had, but I had to tell myself just to be quiet and just to listen to you. And I know for you that was helpful to be able to speak what you were feeling without me interrupting you or telling you what you should be feeling or how you should take that, and just letting you talk. I let you feel however you needed to feel. If you wanted to be upset that I was late, you were allowed to be upset. And I would take accountability for that.
Yeah.
Accountability is, I mean, honestly, like if you can, and I would even use humor to some degree, like if you can make fun of yourself, if you can laugh at things, if you can take accountability for the things that you've done, like that just, that takes the, just the anger out of the conversation. Like it's disarming. That's the word I'm looking for. It's very disarming for people when they don't feel like they have to explain themselves and they can just talk. I did a lot of that too. Just let you talk.
You were really good with, I mentioned this earlier, you were really good with dealing with my triggers, but I was really good at bringing it to your intention that wasn't ugly, in a way that it was more of like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And I don't know why, but this is a trigger for me. And I need, we would just talk it out and you would be there for me and you'd be open to it. It didn't piss you off. It wasn't like, oh, why can't you just trust me? Why can't you just trust me? It was just like, okay, I understand why you feel that way. I will, try my best to do better in the future.
Yeah. If there was distrust, I had earned it.
Yeah.
And that's earned distrust. And I was responsible for a great deal of it. And it was not my job to tell you that it's your codependency or this is just you and you're just needy or any of that stuff. It's up to me to just sit here and just listen and let you process it and let you talk. And that was healing in the beginning. Further down the line, we could really get into some of these deeper concepts. We can talk about abuse, what abuse is, what it isn't, what that does to somebody. I mean, we can talk about taking accountability for these things, but that would not have even been possible for me, like early on. There's just no way, because I hadn't been there myself. Mm-hmm. I hadn't been there myself. And I'm only going to speak for myself here, but I see this in a lot of people that have been through what I've been through. Not just an addict, I was extremely emotionally immature.
Yes.
Very immature emotionally.
Right.
Emotions for me were like what you would get from a child. Like I would get angry, I would throw a tantrum. I'd get sad, I would shut down, just like a child. Like I didn't have a good filter for any of these things. I didn't know what that even looked like. I wasn't taught these things.
Right.
I didn't have an example of this growing up. I was just super high highs, super low lows, and like understand that that's probably what someone's going through as well. Like they're emotionally immature. Like learning the language of emotions doesn't take place overnight. That takes time. That takes therapy. That takes a lot of inner work. Like you really have to think about this stuff, about what's going on in yourself. And it's a process, y'all. It's a process. This stuff think months, years, not weeks. Or I shouldn't even say months. Think like years. This takes years to really develop that. But couples counseling can be a great way to do this. If you've gotten to the point where you can have conversations, there are a ton of recovery programs out there. Like I got sober in a 12-step. Do I think that's the best way for everybody? Hell no. I think it will work for me. Find one that works for you. There are other ones out there, you know, whether it's SMART, whether it's like the rational recovery, whether it's Life Ring, whether it's like Dharma recovery, like
there's a ton.
refuge
You
recovery.
can Google it.
All day long we can go through these, but there are different ways to recover. Therapy, naltrexone, drugs, like harm reduction. Like there's a million ways to do this, y'all.
Yes.
But every one of them, I believe, have some things in common. And I think one of those things is understanding the language of emotions. Because the more you're stuck in your own head without any substance to fall back on, you're going to have to deal with those things.
Yeah.
And you learn those things little by slow.
Yeah, because it's like raw nerves.
Yeah. It's very raw nerves. Like I couldn't deal with getting cut off in traffic, and you want to have a conversation about emotional abuse.
Yeah.
What do we like? It's like, let's just go talk to our 8-year-old about it. You know, like, it's just not gonna be very productive.
Yep.
So how can you get what you need? You're not going to get everything you need, but you can get little pieces. You can get some of your basic needs met over time. If they're working toward it, you can get more and more and more and more, and you will get a partner back. You will get an equal partner eventually in this deal.
Yeah.
It's been our experience anyway.
For sure.
It's just, it's a little by slow process, y'all. It's a little by slow process. And you'll have to understand what your pain tolerance and your patience is for that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, could we speed it up? Yeah, I hope so. Listen to the shows. I think it's going to be really helpful. You know, the workshop for people that are working through this, I think is going to be really helpful.
I agree.
Couples that are working through it.
Yeah.
I think that's all we got now. We got some more questions to cover for the next one.
Yes, we do.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all for the questions. I love doing these.
Yeah, they're good.
They're fun. Okay. All right. Well, until next time, I am Matt.
I'm Paige.
And we'll see you.
Bye.